Yes, hello guys, welcome to another video. Today we're going to be talking about 5 moves that made me got access to football club. So I'm going to be giving you details on this and how you can use this your own way to approach, but of course you can always adapt your own ways to this. Pick few things that I give you here so that you can get advantages to your own moves or your own strategy, what you want to do. So we're going to be looking at understanding how clubs recruit players and everything. Yeah, so squad needs, contract situation, age profile, market value, resale, potential tactical fit within team. These are all things that you have to have in mind when you are trying to make a move to a football club. So, okay. So, of course, many agents make this mistake of assuming that club just sign players randomly, especially with highlight videos. But that's never the case, because I know when you're a beginner agent, the first thing you're always looking for always is to the club can sign a player just normally randomly, but it doesn't actually really work that way. That's the thing. It always works with situation of a structural approach to it. So yeah, I'm going to be looking at these situations, then we can talk about it more. And welcome from Lyon, France. Just a moment. Okay, so let's continue. So, watching from Lyon, France, yes, welcome. Okay, but let's crack on. Let's go straight to the point. So we're going to be talking about these moves, and normally I always say, as an agent, I think not only you people, but we all came through this. When I had my license as well, the first thing I was always looking at, I had also the situation that I was always feeling like when I have a license, I'm just going to be like free to get any player, no structure. I'm just going to spam sporting directors with a lot of emails. And then at one point in time, one move is going to happen. You always get that feeling always when you have the license. Let's take, for example, when you get your license, then we always have these things as new agents. You feel like, oh, what if I write 50 sporting directors? And if I write 50, let's say 10 replies, that's good. And a majority, but you soon realize that those 50 you write, they are not possible. They are not going to reply. Most of them are not going to reply. Why? Because there's no trust. You are not credible, and they don't know you. You have to build all those things, because imagine if you're writing now, there are other most football clubs just know that. Let me give an example. Know that they must have been receiving emails from hundreds of agents regularly. So that's how the market is competitive. So the more you're aware of the situation, the more it becomes better for you to handle the stuffs that goes through. Yeah, but that doesn't mean you cannot pass ahead of those people and do deals. If you structure, if you behave properly and also learn how to write messages well, then you pass ahead of a lot of agents. Because the thing with the club is, if you put yourself as a club, you want value. The club wants value, the agent wants value. That's the first thing. When you realize this thing, it becomes more easier. Now you know, okay, before I have to contact him, what can I offer him? So it becomes a kind of movement. Then you start looking at the things that he needs for you to give him. And when you give him that thing, he realizes he's going to come to you. That's just how it is. Okay, so let's move. Okay, so the next thing you can look is before contacting a club, look at this thing, like their squad needs. That's the first thing. You look at always squad needs. Try to always look how many players do they have. What is their squad situation? Can they get more players in? Look at contract situation, as I spoke about this earlier. Because these were the moves that I do. These are the moves I do. There's a lot that goes into it, but if you start, you can do it gradually. It doesn't mean you should just do it regularly. You can do it gradually. Then you look at also the market value of a player, and also look at whether the players fit. When you do this before you contact clubs, this is very important. If you make these moves, you're going to have a lot of players. So these are the ideas, these are the things you have to use so that you can be ahead of other people. And then you start also looking the next day, you start looking at which position does the club need, which players. I think these things are things that when you want to, because I always say, if you want to be really become a successful agent, you will become. It's just whether you can do these details that I'm saying. That's a fact. Let's take, for example, when you have your license, this is what happens. Most people are always doing what I call uh, lazy agenting, being a lazy agent. So this is what happens with most agents. They sit and they just, let's say they have players contacting them, and then they just wake up and say, okay, I'm just going to write a lot of sporting directors. But in real terms, that's being lazy. Because if you just apply these things I'm saying, natural, it's going to come naturally. Yeah. So, but if you sit and be like other agents, like hundreds of agents, and say, hey, I'm going to just write email to a lot of sporting director. The one who accepts, he accepts. The one who doesn't accept, he doesn't accept. That doesn't actually work because you're going to, at the end of the day, you're not going to go anywhere with that strategy. I remember a friend asking me this. A friend asked him saying, because I'm on LinkedIn regularly and I post on LinkedIn, so he was seeing me with sporting directors and lots of kind of people, and he asked me, "Can I ask you something?" I said, "Yeah." He came to my DM and he said, because an agent and this guy has been in the industry for I think 8 years. He has been working in the industry for 8 years. So, and I have been in the industry for 2 years. So he asked me this question. He said, "How do you really go to interview CEO or certain directors?" So he said he wanted to book a consultancy call with me, a charge one that he's going to pay me for my time and I said, okay, let's do this call. So we're on the call. Yeah, we're on the call. So the first thing he said, he's struggling to contact sporting directors, talk less of even interviewing them. He wants to have the ability to contact sporting directors and also have the ability to be able to contact head of recruitment or head of academics so they can sell his players. So the first questions we analyzed his situation. He said he has about 25 players. I said, how many have you moved? He said none actually. So he was using the same method like many agents. So I asked him that, okay, so why are you having 25 players then if you're not moving any? He said the thing is that those players are good. The strategy he wanted to use was just get players into your industry, into your agency, then you can start sending messages to sporting directors with their profile and saying that, hello, I have a winger, he plays in this team. Hello, I have a this team, I play at central back, he plays here. Hello, I have a defensive midfielder, he plays here. He can send like 20 sporting directors. He can send the same messages. Anyone who replies, replies. Anyone who doesn't reply, doesn't reply. So I asked him how many replied. He said one replied, but the discussion never went anywhere. So in the end, no one replied actually. So I said, okay, we're going to do this, and if you do this, if you do this work, then it's going to change your profile from being someone who's trying to spam sporting directors to actually getting something, because he has been in the industry for 8 years. People are even in the industry for 10 years, but they still try to use this spamming method. But I think the reason I don't want to say I'm ahead of many people, that I'm thinking that in future I will become someone very, very right up there, is because maybe I have a background in sport management. I play football, okay, but that one playing also is not really relevant in this case. I have a background in sport management, that I study sport management. Then I have a background in business studies. So actually in Finland, I did that study. So it's quite helped me see things from the different perspective, or just different ideas from people that before, like my first approach is always like, before I want to ask you something, I expect to know what do you want from me. If not, that relationship doesn't work. That's how I feel that it should be. That before I contact any sporting director, I will sit back, watch his squad, analyze all those things, and say, what can I give this person that makes him come after me? It's not always the case for me just running and pushing him players on his body. Then at one point in time, you say, hey, I don't want this, stay there. So that's the reality. And as I said, I was telling you people yesterday that I read a lot of books that teach me about human psychology. There's another one. So there's one, Think and Grow Rich. So actually, I read a lot of books. There's another one, The Diary of a CEO. What is this? Anything You Want. So next book, The Meet. So I just read a lot of books to learn how people who do business power this in what's the name of it, and the law of the 48 laws of power. I read a lot of books just to open my brain to know how people react to people react in life, which is very important because if you read a lot of books about how people, the most successful people in life, no matter what industry they come from, most of the things they do is they spend time reading or developing their knowledge. Most of the things I do or most of the things I teach people is because I came across book. Let's take for example, I try to read those things myself and also, of course, ask mentors. Try to develop a lot of I learn myself. So if I discover that I don't know something, then I try to spend time reading or researching who has done that thing that can help me. So on my desk, there are a lot of books that I try to read. Another group was also if someone is ever interested to grow more, this mindset, very good book. Change your mind, how you think, to know that everything is possible in life. Once you start reading, once you start reading, as a man, this one, once you start reading books like this, for example, because me as I'm an agent, you start seeing how the most successful people they think in a different way. Okay, so but let's wait away the book. But I'm just trying to give you an idea for people to see how I think that most of the time the thing that I try to come up with is because I read a book. I didn't just jump interviewing CEOs. For example, people have been in the industry for 10, 15, 20 years. They don't interview CEOs. CEOs are not people that you see. These are people who control millions. They have meetings. But somehow, my 2 years in the industry, I have to interview. I interview CEO, and then they're expecting me to even write a book just to because due to the idea and knowledge I share with them. But that doesn't in the background, there's a lot happening with me. What is happening is that most of these books I'm showing you people at my free time, I'm reading, I'm trying to develop my brain and say, okay, how can I build a relationship with a sporting director? So inside me, I'll be looking, okay, to build a relationship with sporting director, it's not just about sending emails and all those things. The first time, if I'm writing an email to him, that email has to be structured. And if we are speaking, I have to make sure he feels like, oh, I need to lean on this person because this person can give me something. So you see, that's how my idea comes from. That if I'm speaking with a sporting director, it shouldn't be me, it shouldn't be me, not just me chasing him and saying, "Oh my God, I pray this sporting director answer my call. He answer my call. If not, I'm done. I'll go to another person." No, the way I approach a sporting director is no matter how he's there, is what is he lacking that I'll improve him, and he'll see me as an asset, and as an asset. So, for example, we can be in a negotiation, and then inside a negotiation, I start to speak about something different, how he came to be a sporting director and where does he wants to go. For example, is his best is I mean, does he just want to end a sporting director? Then we are having a normal conversation. Then I'll be telling him that okay, I read these books, I study this, I do this, I do this. And then out of a sudden, and then I will tell him also this other sporting director or the CEO I've met, this is the ideas they gave me. I'll be indirectly giving him also that idea. Then from there, if you analyze now the relationship, it's not more next time when I call that kind of person, it's not more like, okay, I don't want to pick his call. Even if it's in the meeting, he will just send me a message, text message. Although you don't call people without leaving them text message, actually in Europe, you don't just pick your call and call someone like that easily. Of course, you need to have appointment and everything, but he will drop me a message and say, "Let me call you back." That is when respect is starting to be mutual. The person is saying that, okay, this person is valuable to me. So when you start creating that value for yourself, then no matter how you're starting as an agent, you can take 2 years to become top. So there was one compliment I got from one. I don't want to speak about myself too much. There's one agent very top agent. I think most of you, if you're on LinkedIn, you know him, John Vola. So we were on the call, and not we were, I was just we were exchanging messages, and he rang me. He asked me, "How long have you been an agent?" I said, "I got my license since 2024." And then he said, "And where do you get your ideas from?" So we were just talking. I said, "I read a lot," because he thought I've been in the industry for 10 years. So he was asking me, have I worked with some people with other agency? And I was saying that no, I don't want to work with another agent, because I feel maybe I don't really need an agent to work with another agency. Of course, I've been talking with a lot of agencies that want to bring me to the agency, but I know that in the big agency, for example, you have the big agency, the billion-dollar agency. Most thing that happen there is you bring a player. I just want to give people a little bit of how that the agency operate. You bring a player that the player is like, let's say, very talented player, and that player can be going for, let's say, 10 million euros in future. Let's say and then you bring that player to that agency. If that player goes to, let's say, Barcelona or a Real Madrid or a whatsoever team that may be, what they will tell you is, okay, they will just give you a certain percent, very small little percent of commission, but the player will be under them, because they will tell you that we bring the network. This is not your network. So if you had the network, you would have sold this player. So you have to take anything you take from us. So I've been around that agency, that part, so I know how the business function there. So I decided that, okay, I'm stepping aside to really dive into it and build a network, my own network myself. So a lot of these stories I'm giving you is that when you're having a license, you should already know how you can operate. That you should learn to know how you can operate in the industry. That if you put in the work and if you're strategy, you're going to move so fast, and you're going to be interacting with a lot of people that within 1 year, if you are doing things rightly, you can go far within 1 year than someone who has been in the agency for 10 years. So that's why I said, if you structure everything and plan, and then try to learn how to network, because the key here is you have to learn how to network. So I try to read all these books also to see how network happens. Of course, you have to meet people and build that network, but you have to have an idea how to speak to people. But networking and trust in this industry is a big thing. It's not even the players. You can have a player the player is very good, but that player never gets sold, because when you call the sporting director, he doesn't trust you. Whereas an average player can be taken from another agent. So if you analyze that, you just know that the thing here is trust is a big part of an agent. And when people start trusting you, you start to go for that. So as an agent, when you have your license, you step back a bit and analyze. Don't like, okay, now I'm going to carry a lot of players. Step back, analyze, what can I do in the next 1 year to have, let's say, 2 or 3, 4 sporting directors really trusting me. Because if you have just one club that you are bringing players for, you don't need too much, to be honest, to become a millionaire in the industry. Because let's take, for example, I'm in a real top club that they rely on you, that, okay, bring us players. Because that's the main thing you want. You want, for example, the situation I have with the club in Finland here that I spoke to you about, that says I'm in charge of bringing players to them. That my idea will be, I will bring players to that club, and then from there I can take them to Norway. From Norway I can carry them to England, something like a process, or Sweden. From Norway to England, or from here to Sweden to England or Spain. But this move only happens when you build trust. It doesn't start from day one. It starts from that person calling you and saying that, okay, I trust this person. I respect this person. I want to work with him. He can provide me value. Yes, it's not a case of him ringing me and chasing me to offering me players that I don't want. So these are the things that you have to look and analyze and say, hey, okay, how can I put that into action? So it's almost like building credibility before contacting clubs. So you have to build your credibility by any way you want. So the first thing I always also look at is, the first way you can start from this is, let's take, for example, let's do this a little bit of exercise. If you want to contact a sporting director, first thing, whether it's in your city, wherever you want to be, do not just contact that person like that. In networking stuff, try to analyze that person. His past five, let's say he has been in that club for 2 seasons. Analyze his signings. Those are very important things. Analyze his signing. Don't just analyze what he's signing. Look, is he always bringing youth players? Is he always bringing experienced players? Are they players? Does he like players who speed? Does he like players with more techie players? All these things you have notebook down. Just jot. Let's take for example, if I was to analyze a sporting director, the first thing I'll go. This is what you can do also before contacting them. I'll just look. Okay, what are his last 5 signings? Okay, in those positions, because the answers you get from those players. Let's say if he signs a winger, most of the time you try to analyze what he's wanting from that, what they want from that winger. Most of the time, your player should almost be that kind of player because it tells you a lot already. So you have to try to look at what he's doing so that when you're contacting them in future, but you don't contact someone first just to sell players. That is already, you're not providing value, which means you're thinking about yourself. The first way you contact a sporting director is to build relationship. If you have a note, just put that down. You contact to build relationship, not to sell players. You cannot contact someone most of the time, except those sporting directors are those desperate ones who they don't deal with millions. When you start contacting sporting directors who deal with millions, there's no sporting director that you contact them who have to say a player, let's take for example for 2 million, that a player can go for 2 million, or they can buy a player for you buy your player for 2 million. You contact him and he will respond. It's not possible because the sporting director, one thing he's looking at is he cannot mess up, because if he mess up, there's a huge part of money who is missing and he's going to be responsible for that. So for you to break that part, you need to be very strategic. And then that's where most agents, let's take for example, in the industry, they can sell players from what kind of league, and then maybe these players will go for 10,000, 15, 20,000 euros, all those kind of amount. And then that one, the money is, yeah, of course, okay, it's money, but it's not really millions as you guys understand. But when you start contacting people who are dealing with millions, there's an approach to it. They don't mess up, because if they mess up, everything is gone. So they try to analyze everything they do, the player, and even if you're sending them message just for a player, they will not even respond to that this thing. So the first thing you have to do is start to build trust. Building trust gradually. People start to communicate and share trust before that one can come in after. It doesn't just mean that you send a player to someone, he's not going to respond. So that's how it happens. So I hope you people understood a lot about this one, because this is very important for your career moving forward as an agent, that when you come to the industry, it'll be quite okay. But if you want to earn, let me say, just doing deals with second division teams and whatsoever teams, that's when you can start just spamming sporting directors or whatsoever. The ones who are desperate might respond. But when you start coming to real money, when people want to sell players or you want to start selling players that you can leave as an agent, because most people also don't leave as an agent. They are having their job as an agent, but they're having something different. But if you want to leave as an agent, then you have to go into strategic ways, as I'm telling you, that you have to start knowing how to build relationship with these people, because these people only respond with relationships. So as I said, yes, credibility. Then next one is present players that are assets. Your players, you should always look at players that you see you feel like they can be an asset to a club. But this is only after relationship building. So the most important thing here I'll tell you guys is building relationship. So if anybody has a question, you can drop your question and then we see how we go forward. But anyways, apart from that, today will not be that long like tomorrow. So let's jump into some questions. That's why you are here, because I would say the main thing is, let me keep you guys in the exam mode. Okay, ready for the questions? Let's see. Okay, so this is we are looking at questions, exam practice questions for your exam, upcoming exam. If anyone has any question, the person can drop it in the chat box. Then I can see what you asked. Then I can try to help with that. But apart from that, let's just move straight forward. So let's move straight so that we try to make a round up. Okay, first question is according to FIFA regulations regarding registration of players. So interpreting this question, you already know is under registration of players under FFAR. A player must be properly registered with a member association before they are eligible to participate in an organized football competitions. Which of the following statements correctly describe the requirements related to player registration and eligibility to play organized football? Okay. A, player may participate in organized football matches without registration if the club confirms their identity. That's wrong. B, a player must be electronically registered with an association and organized with an assigned FIFA ID in order to participate in organized football competition. That's correct. C, a player may participate in official competition if the club submits a manual registration form. No. D, a player may play organized football without registration provided that the match is part of National League competition. Wrong. So the answer is B. The answer is a player must be electronically registered with an association and assign a FIFA ID in order to participate in organized football competition. Yeah. So these questions are quite lengthy. So in this one, the regulation states that each player must be electronically registered with an association. So you can see that on the study material and assign also a FIFA ID in order to participate in a competition. So question 2, under the FIFA regulation governing player registration during a football season, there are limits on number of clubs a player may register with and the number of clubs they may play official matches for during the season. Okay, I hope people understood. So which of the following statements correctly reflects the FIFA rule regarding the number of clubs a player may register with and play for during a season? So in essence, interpreting this question is how many clubs can a player play or register within a specific season? So a player may register with a maximum of 4 clubs and play for 3 clubs in a season. That's wrong. You cannot register for 4 clubs. And yeah. B, a player may register with a maximum of 3 clubs during one season, but may only play official matches for 2 clubs. That is correct. C, a player may register with unlimited clubs provided the transfer occurs during different countries. No, that's wrong. C, no, D, a player may register with 2 clubs and play for 3 clubs if the association allow it. That's wrong. So the answer is the regulation states that a player may register for a maximum of 3 clubs and play for 2. Sorry. The regulation states that a player may register for 3 clubs and play for 2 clubs in one season with official matches. But the only exception in this case is if there's an overlapping season. Let's take, for example, you go on, this case is, so there's always an exception in this case. The answer is 3 clubs. The answer is register 3 and play for 2. But now let's take, for example, you're playing in England, then you have an overlapping season from America. Let's take what overlapping season means. Your season finishes here, while the MLS, the league in America, is still going on. It's still going on. So that's then they overlap with each other. Let's say they overlap with each other. So you can finish in England, then you have a chance to play there. That's the exception. That unless there's an overlapping season, those are exceptions. Because this question is answered like this, but in the exam they can bring it as say they can put that they can put that exception there that a player can register for 3 clubs and play for 2 clubs. And then if there's an exception that there's an overlapping season, yes, that is possible. But based on this question, this is the right answer. Okay. So next. According to FIFA regulation concerning bridge transfer, FIFA aims to prevent artificial transfer that are carried out solely to circumvent rules of the financial mechanism. Under what then they say? Under what circumstances will FIFA presume that a breach of transfer has occurred? Okay, so the question here is they gave a breach of transfer that FIFA is trying to prevent it, but under what condition would FIFA say, okay, no, this is a breach of transfer, we need to punish people? So A, when two transfer of the same player occur within a period of 16 weeks. No, that is wrong. It's not when it's when a transfer, not when two transfers. So that's wrong. B, when two consecutive transfer of the same player, good, occur within a period of 16 weeks involving the same parties. No, that's not it yet. So let's move to C. When two consecutive transfer of the same player occur within the period of 16 weeks, regardless of whether they are national or international transfers. Yes, that is correct. And D, when two transfer of a player occur within 12 months. That's wrong. So the answer is when two transfer, which is C, when two consecutive transfer for the same player occur within a period of 16 weeks, regardless whether it's international or national transfer. So that is what we call breach of transfer. Okay. Question 4, we're going to do 5 questions. Question 4, under the FIFA regulation regarding registration periods, member association must establish 2 registration periods during the season. Yes. Which of the following statements correctly describe the duration limits of the first registration period? Okay. So to interpret this question for you guys is the registration period has an association has to prepare, or let me say have 2 registration period. So now they're asking which of the following statements correctly describe the duration limits of the first registration period. They're talking just the first registration period. Okay. So A, the first registration period must be at least 4 weeks and no longer than 8 weeks. 4 weeks and no longer than 8 weeks. No. B, the first registration period must not be shorter than 8 weeks, good, and not be longer than 3 weeks. Yes, not be longer than 12 weeks. Yes. Okay, that one is okay. And then the first registration period must last exactly 10 weeks. That's wrong. And D, the first registration period must be determined freely by association without restriction. Wrong. Okay, so to explain this, the first registration period for, let me say, normal transfer is always like the June, July, August registration period, which is like 3 months. That's 3 months now. If you calculate those 3 months, it's like 12 weeks. Then the second registration period in normal transfer is always like the January registration period, which is like 4 weeks. So if you have been watching football, you just understand that if you sum that up, you say the first registration period is that one, which is like 12 weeks, and then the last one is 4 weeks. So the answer here is B, which the first registration period must not be shorter than 8 weeks, which means if not shorter than 8 weeks, it's 12 weeks, must not be shorter than 8 weeks, and not be longer than 12 weeks. Yeah. Okay. So last question. When a player transfers from one national association to another, certain documentation must be completed before the player can be registered within the new association. Okay, according to the FIFA regulation, which of the following statement correctly describe the role of the international transfer certificate? A, the international transfer certificate is required only when a transfer is paid. No, wrong. That is wrong. B, the international transfer certificate must be issued by the former association before the player can be registered with the new association. That is correct. C, the international transfer certificate is optional if both clubs, that's already wrong, if both clubs agree to the transfer, that's wrong. D, the international certificate is issued by FIFA directly, no. So the answer is B. The international transfer certificate must be issued by the former club, by the former association before the player can be registered to the new association. That is it. Okay, so that's it. So those were the questions for today. Yeah, for today that I tried to give you guys. I said I will not stay long a little bit, but I have to go. I have to go now so that at least I can get some rest. I've been a little bit feeling a little bit of pain on my jaw. So, but I will be fine. I just have to recover a little bit. Yeah. But anyways, let's see. Yes, good evening, bro. Yes, good evening to everyone. Yes. So I had 2 people writing today. Okay, but let's say today was not an hour. At least I hope people gain something there. So tomorrow we continue again, and then with the topic, then we end up with the questions and answers. Always, as I said, I want to do these questions and answers because it helps also you in your exam. You seeing how the questions can be answered. Okay, so take care. We talk tomorrow. If there's nothing, then I can go now so that I can get some rest. Then, yeah, I think. Okay, have a nice day, guys. If whether you are, for me, it's not. Have a nice day. I'm already in the night. I'm here, 15 past 10 finish time, which is Eastern European time. So you people might be in different part of the world. Like someone from France, the time from France is different from my time. Also, if you're in Canada, the time also is different. Anyways, we talk tomorrow, or I come back here tomorrow. Hopefully, we're there to go again. Take care and cheers. Bye for now.